Satan, Lucifer, Belial, Leviathan, Samael.
Drew, welcome to the show. It's been a while.
Hail Satan, brother. Good to be back.
So what's new with you?
Well, we just passed a good silent ceremony, needless to say, right? Our Dark Witches year for the Brotherhood. And that was pretty good. We had to do a little bit of a reset, brother. We're resetting the new generation, Brotherhood of Satan, because we're getting ready in critical times coming up where Raven and I will be bringing some of our generational elders to our festivals and things like that. So we're really gearing up for two really good festivals in the 26th year, right? So Raven and I, of course, were busy with the Brotherhood of Darkness this last Sion. And they did something strange for me, which was kind of out of the ordinary, brother. Some of the rituals there are very large. And this time they had me be the officiator with no one else officiatory, right? And they usually with a large group of Satanists, a large coven being brought together. That was almost 500 people, brother. We usually have, two high priests and a couple high priestesses working that a ritual that extensive. No, they dropped it on me, and I got to perform that very, very high honor on Sion, which is also my second birthday, brother, if you know or not. I was ordained a high priest when I was 13 years old on Sion night, right? And interesting enough, I was only in 8th grade, 1968, brother.
Wow.
So to me, Sion is really, a very special time, bro. Turning of our year, and we have so many things going on this coming year that's, that it's worth celebrating and being thankful for a year that we've had previous, right? I think sometimes in Satanism, we all tend to remove ourselves from having, gratitude for the things Satan provides for us in our life in the prior year sometimes, bro. And so where these holidays have turned into some Christianized bullshit, they were pagan holidays and stuff. And there's a time that the people and the old cultures, the dark pagan cultures came together, and celebrated what? The dark harvest season. So it really mattered to them. It was a way of life for them, brother. So you're talking, Simon's the most important time in the witch's wheel. Now, even Dr. LeVay, kudos to him, he just had a celebration of his passing the other day, I believe, or last week. And even Dr. LeVay says the same thing. The Brotherhood thinks about Samhain, bro. And of course, that is that Samhain and Walpurgis are the two satanic holidays that the veil's the thinnest throughout the year. That's why they're so powerful, right? And that's why Satanists that kind of moved away from the dark witchcraft of satanic covens and stuff, bro, really only celebrated those later. But it was vestiges of celebrating all of them, like the Brotherhood still does. You get what I'm saying? But that's why Satanists, who to me stand away from the herd, right? Very powerful people, and our psyches are connected to our ancestral line, so things come together naturally for us. And that's why I think Satanism selected those two Sabbaths, particularly, brother, as being really, really important because they were very powerful times, right? And so later on, when Satanism moved more away from the traditional satanic coven units to individual satanic practice, 13-step rituals, etc., things not done in a coven, we still were looking for power, were we not, as Satanists? So there's where I'd say Satanists were really intelligent. And if we are in sync with our magic too, my brother, then we're going to realize, well, those were the two most important times when the veil's the thinnest between our world and the underworld in our ancestral line. So, yeah, I think Satanism later on, even though I think we did go off the beaten path, from traditional satanic witchcraft, brother, before we had to label Satanism and stuff. Even though I believe that, I was very, very pleased to see that we still, within the satanic movement by itself, away from satanic witchcraft, still believe in those two holidays and still hold them to be important besides one's own birthday, of course. Right. And that's another holiday to me, which would be important. Like I just mentioned, my own satanic birthday, brother was solid, right? So yeah, it falls in place what you were saying here, right? About that. About Solomon, bro. And I was particularly thinking about you over Solomon and doing this show. And also being fortunate to be on Fred Crow's show later in the month as well, right? Because this is a time of year special to Drew. Most people think Solomon ends the harvest season. Oh, we still have all November. Blood month. It's called Blood Month for a reason, right? And back when the Brotherhood, we had more people that were more connected to the earth and agricultural seasons and those things, brother. We would herd the cattle out in the open fields after they'd been harvested, and we would slaughter cattle and drain the blood into Mother Earth. There's some dark stuff. People think that the dark side doesn't exist in real witchcraft, brother. It really does, or in Satanism, it still does. You just have to be on that current, right? And it is a current, bro. That's one of the things I liked about Order Templi Orientis when they described we're on a current. Well, the Brotherhood is a current too. Satanism is a current. What is it? The left-hand path current. Hail Satan to that. Right, bro? So again, brother, it was good. It's good to see you, especially at this time, like I said. And I'm really going to appreciate being meeting Frater Crow in person as well. A lot of respect for him. But this time of year, special to Drew, bro. Really special.
I'm glad you're here. It's been a while, and I understand that you have a new book out.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
My first book, yes, has been out. There's a soft cover too. Grail Family Secrets, The Dark Pool. Now, if you're into Gnosticism, okay, and a lot of Satanists don't understand that Gnosticism is what? Part of the left-hand path. Okay? Sure goes around with them. No, we're not Christian. Sorry, guys. We're the heresy. We're the heretical order. In fact, I'm Grand Master of the heretical order, not the Christian order. I bucked them for many years, brother. And I beat them. Legitimacy wins all the time. Authenticity wins all the time. Having the hereditary links that Drew has by blood, I beat all those Christian grandmasters out. Then they were all acknowledging me and everything else. Can't beat that, right? But this book here is a fantastic book. I'm kind of a really impressed that you were talking to me about it because I have, here it is. Yeah. I do have something to read you, but they said about my book in the press release, okay? For those that do like Gnosticism and may be interested in things like the heretical orders, right? The bloodline families, which in Satanism we acknowledge today still are who? The dark nobility of Satanism. Many of these people involved. Some of them were even popes, brother. But so let me give you a little rundown of what my publisher from my first book said about my book, right? Sir David DePaul marks his first foray into publishing with the release of Grail Family Secrets, The Dark Pool, a meticulously researched book that delves into the history of the Holy Grail families and their connections with the Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic Church, and secret societies. The book traces their journey, beginning with the original families who settled in the marshlands of Gaul, now known as Guyenne province in France. From these roots, the families migrated across Europe. It's an octopus, brother. It's a brotherhood octopus. That's what I call it. evolving into the Gnostic Grail families with ties to pre-Iberian Celtic tribes, Visigoths, Cathars, Knights Templar, and the Knights of Malta. Paul highlights their connections into Druidic bloodlines and their integration into the early Holy Roman Empire. He reveals how these families, many of whom became influential church figures, left clues about their secrets in art and architecture. He also unlocks mysteries overlooked by previous researchers, such as Henry Lincoln and Dan Brown. Wow. And provides fresh insights into Da Vinci's The Last Supper and Poussin's The Shepherds of Arcadia. While Grail Family Secrets, The Dark Pool, delves into esoteric mysteries, DePaul emphasizes an academic and historical approach, providing accurate information and research into the true Holy Grail families and the bloodlines that later came to be called the Merovingian Vine. This book is a must-read for anyone interested in the often covered-up truth about history, esoteric spirituality, and the secrets of ancient bloodlines.
So what inspired you to write that?
You know, I was raised in a Brotherhood family, but I was a foster child. Well, as all foster childs, when they get older, want to do, they want to know who their bloodline were, right? And the Roonies really were my parents. There's no doubt of that. Like I say to everybody. And I talk a lot about the Rooney family in my new book. Okay. But my original bloodline, brother, I got a chance or the offer to be dispensated to be the Grand Master of the Gnostic Knights Templar by Duke Eugene de Palatine. Okay. And at that time, I felt I wasn't qualified. So I wanted to know more about my personal bloodline, brother, as a DePaul, not as grown up as David Rooney all my life in the Brother to Darkness family, but who really am I in my own blood? Most foster children, I think, as they get older, maybe get more mature, brother, especially if they're into the spiritual and the occult, may want to look into that. Because by knowing yourself, there's that, know thyself, right? You'd better tap into your ancestral line and all those things too, brother. So I've got the best of both worlds. I got the Brotherhood family to raise me, and I have my Gnostic alchemical bloodline, which was the Knights, Templars, and others. Okay, that I go directly to. Read the book, you're gonna love it. So I felt I wasn't qualified up to a certain time, brother. And then I started researching into my own bloodline, and I found out so much about the DePaul bloodline. Now, most people think St. Vincent de Paul, always a good Catholic saint, and all this, did so much for the poor. Oh, yes, he did. But he was not a peasant at all. He came from a noble bloodline. It's all in the book. You're going to love it. He came from a real noble bloodline, actually. That's proven. He was a Gascon, which means a Vascon, which means Basque. There's the DePaul bloodline. My own bloodline traces to, guess where? Guyenne, France, right outside of Poix, France, where St. Vincent de Paul's from. I looked like him too. Okay, but there's a lot of connections that really people think that, I'm directly related to. So that would make the DePaul bloodline. Here's what my research found. And of course, then I accepted and I ascended to Grand Master of the Knights Templar. I was knighted. I don't have my certificate. It's over here on the floor, but my certificate, I was knighted in 1977. But I didn't take Grand Mastership till the year 2000. Year 2000. I was going to say 1999, year 2000. And as I started doing that, of course, being a Brotherhood Satanist and researching a lot of things, right? I started researching my own personal bloodline because I know about the initiate needing to know thyself. If you don't know yourself, you'll never determine what path you're supposed to be on. Okay? And as you advance in knowing thyself, right? What happens then? Your pituitary gland, your pineal gland, you start vibrating, right? You start getting what? That connection back with those, what's in your blood. So that was important to me, brother, because I was raised by the Roonies that way too, so that the bloodlines and history and all those things were so important. That was more, brotherhood, generational bloodlines about it, which is really, really cool too. So, but what I found out was really in the upper levels, where I was from, was actually in the brotherhood too, right? Because the Paul bloodline, if you think about it, it connects into the dark nobility families. There was a king. We've had a king. We've had 3 Grand Masters. We've had numerous commanders of Knights of Malta, Knights Templar. We've had 3 saints in the bloodline. All were Gnostic. One was St. Francis de Paul. Animal lover. Why? Because he was more of a druid than a saint, right? Okay. And if you research the saints, there's another thing. I actually have a book about the saints. But, bro, my book talks about all these different saints, and it talks about their bloodlines, brother. And it shows these saints, many of them came from the Merovingian bloodlines and the old bloodlines, which had roots in the dark pagan cultures, right? Now, a good example, Poitou. Okay, all of Aquitaine at one time was Basque, brother. That's all the Basque regional historical area. I do a class on Basque witchcraft because I am Basque. And I showed everybody actually where I'm from, the whole thing, showed the map of Aquitaine back then, and showed how, this is all Basque country. It wasn't just a little piece in Spain right here on the other side of the Pyrenees in France, right? Instead, Basque country went all the way up. And then I researched, of course, and find, wow, that's all of Aquitaine. Okay, then you research the Poitou line, right? Poitou, France is a little bit above where my bloodline hailed at. Diane Portier comes to mind, right? Now, she actually had goddess Diana's statues on the pillars going into her castle. She believed in the moon goddess Diana, but she was also a mistress, I believe, of one of the Borgia Pope. Oh, man, Borgia. Okay. But guess what she descended from? The Pictones. So here's where my book, my first book, covers things like the origins of things, brother, taking these bloodlines back to proving the old pagan connections, their ancestors. So the whole nobility of that region descended from who? It's like we say today, everybody's got a pagan ancestor. Okay. Now the DePaul line, which is interesting, because I found this with my Templar research, not my Brotherhood research, actually is connected to 3 of the Aquitanic tribes. The Vascones, which were Basque. Basque was Basque, by the way. Gastonia was Vasconia. Okay. The Vascone line, the Pictone line, and the Viturges. Now, how I found that research was from Antoine de Paul, 56th Grand Master of the Knights of Malta, one of my ancestors. He founded a city in Italy called Paola, Italy. And he put the DePaul coat of arms, our peacock angel, by the way, our peacock. He put the DePaul coat of arms on the coat of arms for the new city he founded, right? But above it, he added something else for someone of the bloodline, me, to be able to know what it was. And it was the 3 spirals, interconnecting spirals connected together, denoting the bloodline of where we came from. Now, the only one would know that is someone from the same blood, bro, because that's why he did that. Because that was on the only arms that he ever showed that on. The city he founded. See what I'm saying? Interesting. But I noticed it and I found it, right? I'm a student of symbology, brother. Symbols illustrate teachings and spiritual truth. Right? What Manly P. Hall, what do they all say, right? Illustrated by symbols, or veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. Well, it's not really allegory, but it's It's the old traditions that, you really have to be ready for. So I think the know thyself key um, connects you to being able to get to connect into that better, right? To be into the current, so to speak, right? And once you're living it, so when you're in the current and you're living everything, brother, everything's enhanced in the occult. Everything. Everything I look around and see is the occult, just about. Okay, everything. I can see this through the symbols. I can see this. I can see that. I am also very empathetic, so I have a lot of powers there. I'm clairaudient. I'm clairvoyant. So I do see the spirit world easier than most. Also, I can see the demons, brother. When I summon them, I can see them. Some people can see the tangible energy too, that are if they're in that ritual with me, but they can't see them like I really can. Oh boy! Sometimes they're spooky, sometimes they're not. It depends on purposes, right? Of the demon, I use them. But so, brother, that's why I just go back to what you were saying to me. That's kind of why I wanted to connect into my real bloodline, because it's part of being an initiate. What does initiate really mean? Inner. Means inner development, the inner black flame of Satan, right? Initiate. Initiate, right? And or ignite. Saying they're so similar, right? Why? Because it's igniting that spark of the black flame of Satan. Now, when you can connect with all that, and you're connecting with all these the real spiritual current that underlines the occult, brother, there you go. You want to know thyself as an initiate. I don't care who you are. And I'm going to tell you how it is. If you work with the demons, as you know, bro, they're going to show you who you are if you stay the course. They're going to show you. There's things Aleister is going to see for his own personal self as an initiate that Drew will never see. There's things Drew's going to see too that others will never see. Why? Ancient signposts point the way. For us individually on what? Our own highway to hell. There's a sign on the wall right there. Our own pathway. So our destiny is what, brother? The destination we're going to, destination, destiny. Boy, there's a play connection, right? See how easy I can throw things together like that? And I'm right, brother. That's what's fascinating about it. But it took me many years of developing my spiritual studies and practices. I didn't just leave it book learning, right, or internet research and stuff. I wanted to practice too. And when I did that, what did it do? It lit the black flame of Satan in me, right? But I can thank the Rooney family for everything. So there's a lot involved in why I ended up in the Brotherhood family I did when my real parents, the DePauls, couldn't take care of me any longer, right? I'll tell you why. Priory of Sion protected the DePaul bloodline. Why? Because beyond a shadow of a doubt, the church already knew I really was descended from Jesus and DePaul. Many, many claim him to be an alchemist, brother. Oh, yeah. There's much, much more. Jesuit agent, lots of things. Had the ear of everybody. He was the confessor to the king and queen. Claremont bloodline. Yep. And the De Gandhis, he was their tutor. He tutored the De Gandhis' children. You know anything about the Visconti and the Medici and you'll know those families, who they are. They're really connected, right? So basically, brother, there's even more to my book because I show things like this. This is where you got a good person on your show, bro. Because I can back up what I say. Now here, the Mona Lisa. Now hidden in the Mona Lisa is a location that's in my book, brother. And guess who's there? The body of the Christ. It was removed by Helene Diabete a long time back, what was left of the body of the Christ. He was put in a tomb where the last Merovingian king, Dagobert, was buried in France. And guess who else is there? the Magdalene. Absolutely there. Read my book. I'm probably the only one that can show those types of things. But in here, Da Vinci shows a fucking mountain, brother, that Drew came across. That you can see it from Chateau de Paul in Paul, France. By the way, named after my bloodline too. You can see this mountain called the Midi. I broke all those codes people were looking into Languedoc for, brother, about the Holy Grail and about the Magdalene. And there's treasures involved as well. Templar, Visigoth, and the temple, the treasure of Jerusalem, and the treasure that left La Rochelle by the Knights Templar when it sailed away from the Paris Temple. Guess what? Those ships never went to Oak Island, brother. Those ships never left France. Sailed down the bottom part of France to a port, a Templar port, bottom of France, came across what we call Paul Valley now, came across to that Midi, and that's where they hid it. Oh, yeah. One of my own ancestors, who was a French count, a Defa, actually climbed that mountain looking for it, brother. If you read my book, I describe things. There's symbols. There's things there's anomalies around the sacred mountain, bro. The triangles there that a lot of people wrote about, but they didn't really know what they were writing about. The Golden Triangle. There's a triangulation cairn on the top of this Midi, brother. Okay? And when the sun's at dead center in the sky, right, on the solstices, it shines a light straight on top of this triangle, this cairn. I'm not sure what the stones are actually made from, but it makes a light shine down. A triangle comes down the side of the mountain, brother. Now, in the base of the mountain, there's a fucking orb down in the lake there, or something's there. Because another triangle comes up from the base of the mountain right over the entrance, brother. And guess what it is? Two interlaced triangles. Star David. Oh, yeah. I found it all. Prussian Shepherds of Arcadia. Drew knows well all that is. If you look at that mountain, brother, in the wintertime, you'll see the shepherd on Poussin's painting. He's got his arms pointed a certain way, but you'll see what appears to be a French count on the side of that mountain, pointing right to the fucking entrance. Okay? So I broke Poussin's painting code as well. And actually, I have Poussin's from the Habsburg dynasty. Their plate right here on the wall. Our families that know the secret have this plate. A king of France had it and hid it and wouldn't let anybody even see it, bro. Usually treasure. They didn't know how to break the code. Again, why did I want to know who I was? If I get your DNA vibrating, I could break the codes for my ancestors, bro. That they left, that other people would never know what the fuck they mean. And I was able to do it with this book. And the Magdalene's relics are there. Another ancestor of mine, William of Boulogne, okay, also known as William of Aquitaine, William of Toulouse, William de Orange, okay, another direct ancestor of mine. He actually got the relics of the Magdalene because they're not at St. Baum like the Catholic Church lies about. Those relics are fakes. Okay. There was a Melmukes invading the region. So the Cassinite monks took the relics of the Magdalene and moved them. Guess where? They moved into another sacred place, secret place. William of Boulogne meets up with them and buys them from them, procured them from them, and brought them to the same place where they had buried the Christ and Dagobert there too. Yep. It's such a fascinating story, brother. And whether they excavate or not, I don't know. It's on French fucking government property, bro. You know how that goes. But I know it's there. The anomalies are there. Blue apples, Palmas blues, They didn't even know what that meant. It's because the spirit orbs all the way around that mountain at night. They're fucking whitest blue fucking spirit orbs, bro. I got pictures of all this. Why? Vibrating here, mind, body, and spirit, right? So knowing myself, know thyself was so important, mother. Um, led me to
Interesting.
so many answers, many mysteries, right? And knowing myself, knowing of my own self as well. And man, I'm honored just to have the Brotherhood family that raised me. Because when you read that story, holy moly, inside the Brotherhood of Satan, brother, I talk about my Aunt Agatha. I talk about the Collins family related to the Moonies, by the way, that raised me. Talk about my satanic baptism. I talk about all of my family because they're going to let me do it. BOD will now let me write about it because my parents are no longer in this world. No heat on my parents at all. I'm going to take the heat. But I'm talking about the Brotherhood from the inside, bro, from the time I was fucking a baby. My whole story. No lies, no fabrication, no sensationalism. The real deal, the real story. So I need a real good. I got an agent that's a horror genre agent. That's what I want. I think the book would fit perfect there. I know they may change things, bro. That's how they do it. Um, but I want to get it in front of a real good publisher. I wasn't happy with my first book. Self-publishing wasn't really the way. Um, I think some of my royalties never get to me because I have a big network, a Templar network, and I know a lot of people bought my book, bro. I'm not seeing the royalties from it like that, like it should be. I've seen some, but not like it should be. Here's a book that's telling the whole secret. No kidding. I even talk about the octopus when I told you about the families that from that whole area of Aquitaine migrated out. That's the fucking brother. That's the Brotherhood and Illuminati octopus, brother. I even know that. And then guess what? You know where that actually you can see it? Saint Solstice. I'm Prince of Zion, whatever that means. That's what they call me. So it's something to do with bloodline. You know that. So, but I've traced a lot of stuff back, bro. But you wouldn't know yourself if I hadn't said, okay, I guess I've always been that. I was the special boy to the Roonies too. I was the youngest, and I was really the one that was the joiner and the one that really promoted in the Brotherhood, right? Too. I was the one that really took to the occult like water, right? And stuff. So maybe that's another reason why I've learned so much. I don't know, but so and they told me a little about my background, but they said it was secret. When you're older, you'll know. The Roonies were very wise. That's very powerful. As you read in my new book when you see it, um, which it should be out by the way. I'm projecting spring, okay, because it's a little more than halfway done, and I'm negotiating with agents right now. I want the best agent this time. I'm an agent that's going to get that book on a best-selling publisher. That's what I'm after with this book, Inside the Brotherhood of Saint. Brother, if we can do that, Drew can write his own ticket as an author, right? But bro, I don't know why I never was an author in my earlier days. Lou Ellen's bugged me forever to be writing about witchcraft and stuff. I knew Carl Lasecki from Lou Ellen's before he died. He was a millionaire. I knew him real well, and they bugged me for when I went into the occult scene, and I knew everybody that was druids, pagans, witches, and they all whispered about me, of course, because they knew I represented the Brotherhood and I was the dark side. They all came to me for knowledge, though, bro. One of my sons tried to tell me, "Hey, Dad, I think you're George Pickengill reincarnated." I laughed. I said, "Well, I'm a lot like old George, but no, I'm not George Pickengill reincarnated. I'm me." So, yeah, that was a compliment, though. Yeah, um, I'm probably had more schooling than old George did. So, but yeah, that man was a pretty wise man because there wouldn't have been any Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn even if it wasn't for George Pickengill. These are things people don't know, brother. And he was a Brotherhood Satanist. He told people, I'm a Satanist. Before he said he was a witch. He was a witch too. Witch Grandmaster. 9 covenants. The guys that went off to form the Hermetic Orders of Golden Dawn studied from him. There's numerous people that did. They met up with him for a reason. The man had the knowledge. And a lot of people were scared of him, that like me these days, right? There's people scared of me too, bro. They're jealous of me. They're scared of me. Whatever. And I don't hurt people. I've never hurt anybody intentionally. They attack us. This is another story. If I'm attacked, I'm gonna do my protect myself, whatever I gotta do. But other than that, no, I don't bother people and go out and try to curse them. Real Satanists don't do that. You gotta have a reason for that. And now that takes you to karma, right? But not all Satanists believe in karma, some of us do. Now, why I would is because I am connected to all these bloodline things too. Karma does come in there. Because I know all magic's based on something, brother. This is where Satanism got away from the beaten path. Did we forget about natural law? How can the Church of Satan say none of this can ever get along when like attracts like? And look at our own history. There were covens, temples, lodges, mystery schools. Oh, we never came together in our history. We can't never do that, right? They're talking to the Brotherhood when they're saying that shit, brother, or they're talking to Drew, right? And Drew's going, you're talking to a man of knowledge, Brotherhood knowledge, who can trace continuity. And I can even show you where that continuity, that there were satanic witches before it, Church of Satan or anything was ever. And we weren't called Satanists first. The church called us that back in our history. That didn't come from COS either. Those were labels we later got, right? Get my drift. So basically, so you put all that together, bro. You want to get into that current. It's the old magical current, am I right? The best you can. And knowing yourself as an initiate is the way to start on getting on that path. It really is. And some will dedicate first, then become an initiate. Some orders or organizations may initiate you first, then teach. We actually have the Brotherhood does we make them do the covenant, right? That's the dedication, right? It's not nothing really hard for them to do, but they do sign their parchment in blood, right? So, and then they do their initiation. Usually the same weekend, So some will do a dedication first, some don't. Some will just jump you right into an initiation, right? Now, Brotherhood covens, because we have already an organization that our covens develop out of, brother. Our covens are made up of who? They're already all high priests and high priestesses. Drew's showing the way as a coven master and coven elder, right? But they're already ours. So we only have one initiation there. And they get an attendant demon attached to that. It's really cool. And when they become a brother, when that monastery advances to be a brotherhood coven, they get mine and Raven's Book of Shadows, which was handed down to our grandmothers in the Brotherhood, Pick and Gill Book of Shadows, untainted by Wicca. Satan's in it, Samael's in it, Lilith's in it. Oh yeah, bro. Summoning of the 13 Guardian Demons is in it. Satanic Cone of Power is in it. Oh, fucking yes. So, I mean, good stuff. But yeah, but knowing yourself, key thing in your progress, right? So in your occult studies, you come across a word called sojourn, okay? And I was a principal sojourner in this Royal Archmasons, RAM. It was my first office in the Royal Arch Chapter. Was principal sojourner. And I really got a lot out of that, bro, because a sojourner does what? Takes souls on a journey. There's Drew right there. Some would call you a reaper of souls, but you're not really reaping their souls. Their souls are going to be dedicated to Satan, that's no doubt, but you're not trying to reap their soul personally. See what I'm saying? Or anything like that. But you're taking them on a soul journey. to find themselves, okay, to self-empower them and help self-empower them along the way. It's like Lucifer holding the torch. Of course, I got that tattoo on my arm. I've had that since 1965, 66, pretty long time. But Lucifer's holding that torch. What's he doing? He's illuminating the path for them. There you go. That's what I do. A sojourner. But on a personal level, an initiate, we all are sojourners. We're all on a soul journey, a spiritual journey. Oh. And you could be just a joiner, bro, and be a satanist who just wants to be a general member, not do anything. But you're cutting yourself out of the wealth of occult knowledge, brother. Wow. And at some point on your current, after you do know yourself, it's going to lead you into something else. Being able to see a synthesis of things, the synergy of things. And you'll see where they all come together. Okay? Vampirism. It's a dark art. I've heard people say, oh, it has nothing to do with Satanism, brother. And I'm going, oh, did you ever study the demons? Did you study any of those dark goddesses that are all vampires? Where does it fit in Satanism? You got to be kidding me. You better learn to be a man of knowledge, like truth says, or a woman of knowledge. Why? And how do you do that? Really study them, right? You hear a lot of people say to study demonology, bro. But why are they not picking up on this stuff? Look at Nehemiah, right? Look at Lilith. They were vampirists, brother. Second, oh yeah, all of them. Not all of them, quite a few. The ones that we would lean to as left-hand path and as satanic witches, right? That's who we would lead to. We tend to lean more towards. Oh yeah. Like our mother of the Brotherhood is Lilith, for instance. And she is the mother of the Brotherhood. I have a personal relationship with that woman. Spirit, whatever we want to call her, goddess. I've had it since I was a child. And it's amusing to watch all the people on the net that, think they know Lilith, right? And in some ways they do know her. And I like the fact that they're championing the independence and the dark feminine movement connects with Lilith, right? And if you look at the synthesis of things, though, brother, who else would connect with that dark, divine feminine? The Magdalene. And of course, if you do read my book, you might find out some things that Drew says along the way, like St. John, the Christ, Mary Magdalene. First of all, St. John and the Christ were both married to Mary Magdalene. She was their wife, both of their wives. Oh, yes. There's many things they don't know. People don't know. And they weren't Christians. How could they have been Christians when they were Essenes? The Essenes came out of ancient Egypt, brother. They were exiled. They had to leave because they were a spiritual sect. The Magdalene represented ISIS. Let's just say it that way because that's a fact. Essene, Essenes, Essene, I see. And I'm seeing, okay? And what I mean by that is I can see the sympathy of all of it, brother. I can see it. Okay, and some people try to tell me, okay, maybe Drew, it's because you're ascending. You're ascending to the top of the pyramid. And so you're advancing more within. And that may be it, brother. I think that has a lot to do with it too, probably. But man, I can see there's so much more to it. Just let's say that, right? So much more. So connecting to my bloodline, that was important. And where I was lucky as hell, I had the best of two bloodlines, brother. What's in my real blood that I now know who I was there. That's how I did accept the Grand Mastership of the Gnostic Knights Templar. I'm recognized, okay, because of that, because of bloodline. And I also had the best world being raised by the runes. So lucky. Most people have a very bad foster story to tell you. Foster child story isn't good. I'm very lucky. Very, very lucky. The Rooney motto, fortune favors the bold. Yep. And I very much believe those kind of things. You know, it favors the bold. And there's where I'm saying magic, brother. And some people might look at the brother and saying, oh, they're a bunch of nuts or something. No, we're actually not. Okay. And because if you look at things in a proper way and you put everything into focus, right? We're not nuts. We're actually very intelligent because intelligence is what Satan should be looking for, right? We're actually very intelligent to have the knowledge we have and be able to put that knowledge together. Then, here's the thing most satanic leaders can't do. Teach it comprehensively. What the word comprehensive means? It means your students understand what you're teaching them. You have to have teachers that can explain it in a comprehensive way, brother, and show them where these connections are. And me, I use teachers' aides in my classes sometimes. I'll show them where the origins of what Drew is saying come from. I don't bullshit about stuff. I want to show them what Drew's teaching is accurate and it's the truth. And that's how I want to be as a teacher. And how do you do that? You got to connect to know who you are. No, you have to know who you are and then tap into that real satanic thought form pattern, right? That connects you into living the philosophy of Satanism. Not just the magical practice, but the magical practice of it. Let me get into that, right? The repetitiveness of ritual. Why do you think the Masons can do things by memory? And why Drew in ritual does a lot of stuff no one else can do? Because I know it by memory. I know it here. Oh, yeah. But that repetitive of doing it, brother, is what you're going through the vehicle, right? You're doing the actualization of it in ritual when you're doing ritual over and over. So the repetitiveness is doing what? It's teaching you how to fucking know what you're doing, boy. And the other witches get around you, they don't know what to do. You're blowing them away. Holy fuck, I've never seen a witch like Drew ever. No, you're never going to. There's only one Drew, there's only one Aleister. And there'll be only one of them too, brother, as leaders, right? That's another thing. Brotherhood of Satan is not about followers. It's all about what you was talking about here. Leading. And you lead by knowing who you are too, right? And when you know who you are, you develop a leadership etiquette, brother, where you don't try to talk down to people. You don't lose your control, your emotion. You're rude to somebody. You know what leaders have to do? We have to approach something, even if we think it's the most stupidest question in the world, brother. We have to still explain it to them properly, keep cool, calm, and collected. You know what you're doing then? You are mastering the entire situation. What are you doing then? What does Drew show by an example then? He's a master. You want to be a satanic master? You don't let all that control you. Use emotional response. Use all that pent-up emotion, brother. When you have to curse somebody, you want that woman for that love spell? Mourning your ancestors? There's where the emotions is supposed to be. Not talking down to people, not saying something stupid, not causing a chain reaction of drama. Okay. Now, there's where I have some respect for the COS, brother, because Drew's been running an organization, right? And he's been a member of an organization his whole life to boot. And he's running another one, new generation, for the last 25 years. There's areas the COS is right about something. But I've got to say something to the COS and to our own membership, right? Organizations aren't bad, brother. People are. People fuck things up. And that's when you see that meme of Satan where it's going, fucking humanity. Because he wonders why we can be so stupid sometimes. Okay. And of course, as Satanists, we're not supposed to be stupid. We're supposed to be the ones that aren't stupid. Well, then we don't want to live and do stupid things. We don't look like a Satanist when we're doing stupid things. No. The US is right. They try to make it look like, no, you guys will never get along. And maybe that's what the COS experienced, but they're not the Brotherhood. They're not the Brotherhood. There's that word. They're not the Brotherhood. I'll say it 3 times. Okay. And maybe when they had a lot of members come in, brother, first of all, they didn't get close to those members and stuff. LeVay did with some of them. But then as soon as they started moving up and being leaders, he wanted to get rid of them. And I think kind of the move Peter and Peggy did was dissolving the grottos and stuff was to solidify their own administrative powers over all the COS, right? Where we want leadership. We want leaders. And we want regional leaders. Bro, when Drew's done with what I have to do these next several years, we're going to have 13 monasteries in the United States. 13. Fairly large. And then I get to do something BOD for the new generation. They're letting me pick who's going to be their regional mother of darkness. When Drew shared those Brotherhood of Darkness offices, brother, with the BOS more than 2 years ago, almost 3 years now, our people were taking their time getting themselves organized. National office always is. That's true. Okay. They were taking their time getting organized. And all we're doing is holding themselves back because all those offices are pertinent to your monastery. That's where those offices come into being, right? What's down in my temple? Keeper of the seals. If you have a Brotherhood monastery, which is a covenant, you should have the seals book. Every monastery would have it, brother. So keeper of the seals belongs to where? In your monastery. I'm keeper of seals right now for our monastery. And you're entrusted with the demonic guardian demon seals that you don't let out of your sight at all until they're being used every new moon, full moon, and all the Sabbaths. That's when you're summoning all 13 guardian demons, brother. And it's the only time you should summon all of them together when they're under the umbrella of the spiritual umbrella of guardian demons. Because Drew knows demonology. You don't summon the wrong demons together, brother. I don't know why people are doing that, and they're wondering why their life isn't going right. Let's see. I just summoned Abaddon for a love spell. And I'm going, what? Abaddon's a destroyer. You're trying to destroy a relationship before you even have it? And watch out, it might destroy all the relationships in your whole life. Drew's a wise man by many years. Yeah. So, but again, so there's different ways, different organizations teach them. But it's really not orgs that are bad, brother. People, right? And if you have leadership that are too authoritarian or too dictatorship and that kind of stuff, those organizations never last the course. They won't last the course. Or they'll have a reputation like COS has. Basically, we honor the COS, bro, because of what Dr. LeVay did. Drew honors the COS because of that. He did bring Satanism into the public. We weren't for it. The Brotherhood was never for it. My grandmother knew it. Brotherhood wasn't for it. but he did it, and we'll give him the credit for that. So the brother's never been bad, and he was surrounded by us. You know, where they had me was more Southern California, though, so I didn't get a chance to go up where he was. It kept me busy enough. I was over all Southern California at that time. Then they sent me back to the West. It's all my second book. Then I got sent back to the Midwest. My dad had that first real bad bout of cancer. Transferred back to the Midwest. And I just took back position of being master counselor of the Midwest, too. I already was that before they sent me to California. So, they got me out of the military early to become a master counselor in 1976. My grandmother had some clout, bro. She was over the Hollywood country and most of the United States. Very powerful woman. I describe them. I tell people what they look like. I tell them all about them. I'm describing rituals in that book. The real rituals David went through, Drew went through. Bro, right here's an excerpt from my first chapter, Child of the Devil. Describes my whole satanic baptism. All of it. I was only 3 years old. Yeah. And my first chapter, it's called Child of the Devil. Cool. So, but knowing yourself, yeah, it's key to initiation, brother. And especially as a witch, you want to know who your spiritual self is, right? Now, some call that an altar, right? Your alter ego, maybe, or whatever that book came out later is your alter ego, I think, maybe, but your altar, which is really your spiritual personification, the brother. Okay. So mine would really be Druwydion Pendragon, right? I become Drew. I really am Drew. And that was given to me, thank you. There's another thing my grandmother did for me. I wouldn't have been at Pantag in 1980 and got made a Pendragon if it wasn't for her. She sent me there. And I spooked some of them. There's 800 people there, though, bro. But I did spook some of them because the real deal showed up. Drew. I danced with a broomstick for hours, brother. 4 nights straight. People were dropping off. People were falling on the ground. Couldn't keep up with my high energy. And I mean dancing and raising energy beyond anything anybody ever saw. And then Sunday, I burned that broomstick. Selena Fox takes a picture of me. And in the burning room, I look like Lucifer because I'm in the air. I just came out of the other side of the fire. I jumped to a huge-ass fire. And I had a burning broomstick over my head because I sacrificed the broom after the whole weekend's events, right? And all that energy I did, magical energy. And I looked like Lucifer. I'm wearing a blood red fucking robe, brother, with a hood. And I'm holding this burning broomstick over my head. I look like Lucifer holding the toe. Selena took a picture of me. She still has it. The face of the goddess is in the flames of the fucking broom that are burning on the broomstick, bro. Pretty cool. And then later I took Craven and Raven to meet up with some of the people I knew from back in the Midwest, like Panpagan and other places that I've been at and stuff, and took them to a big festival here. And the woman that run the festival here, guess what? She walked up and said, "You remember me, Drew?" And I looked at her because I met hundreds and hundreds of witches in my time, bro. Hundreds, probably thousands. And they remember me. There's the thing what I'm trying to say about knowing yourself. They remembered me, brother. That takes you to being immortal later on. I'll go into that later, right? But there she is, and she says right in front of those two, and this is before I was an item with Raven, so she didn't, she only heard of my escapades in the Midwest of California, right? There's Danae verifying Drew got Pendragon. I was in your ritual when you were made of Pendragon. So guess what? Try me, guys. Challenge me, please. Drew can bring out people that can prove everything Drew tells you about himself. and everything he teaches about the brotherhood. I have people that are still alive. That even includes me meeting Bishop Pertot, another friend of mine that's a Satanist, who's a French Satanist too. James Leclerc, who's also now a High Mason, Gnostic bishop, just like me. Um, he's still alive. Guess who went with me when I got ordained into the Gnostic Catholic Church? Like I tell people, I was legitimately ordained and stuff. There's people alive that can prove it. They're still alive. It's not that they're dead. You know, a lot of my people are dead that I knew coming up on. It's sad. You know, I miss my parents a lot. Another thing about being on your show this time of year, you know, my parents are right here with me. And in fact, they're sitting right there in that picture. Picture of mom and dad at Witch's Mill. I showed it in my last little YouTube video, or that Facebook video I just did. Showed my mom and dad at Witch's Mill. So, Drew, I'm not hiding anything, brother. I'm bringing it out. They can stop disrespecting me, being jealous of me, call me a con artist, call me whatever they want to. I scam people. Brother, 3/4 of our membership got into the Brotherhood of Satan for free. We've helped numerous people get to our Sabbath events. They couldn't even afford to get here. Yep. We've helped people numerous times with air flights to even get here. We comped their members, their registration for a festival. We've done everything possible for people. And a lot of times when somebody comes to Drew and they're having a hardship about joining, and they really are sincere about joining Brotherhood of Satan, Raven and I will go, look, we'll give you 50% off. You know, we do a lot of things like that for people. People don't see that about us, so that our enemies like to get out there and lie about us. The real truth is we're exactly opposite of that. That's the truth of it. And when a person joins, we had one a couple months back, it was a little big mouth. It was just kind of like a Satanist wanted me. And then he tried to bitch and complain about it and all this shit. I sent him back his membership fee, right? So, but you know, you don't say nasty shit about you, and don't join an organization like the Brotherhood and then go, hey, man, my truck broke down. Now I can't afford to pay for it. I got to have my money back. That means you shouldn't have joined in the first place. I gave him back his money anyway. So there's a lot of things about me. They're lying. Oh, I'll give you another one. I don't want to mention names because I'm not, here to bash people, right? I want to be on your show and I want to show knowledge, brother. That's what Brotherhood's about, is knowledge. Brotherhood's about knowledge. So I'm not bashing anybody. That's for sure. But there's so much going on with these days with people going out there going, oh, the Brotherhood of Satan, they just copycat the Brotherhood of Satan movie. Holy fuck. They took that from us. That movie wouldn't have fucking had that name, Brotherhood of Satan. We already had that in our heads that we wanted the new generation. Look at the theme, even back then. We knew we were going to start dying out, bro. Even back then, look at the theme of the movie, Brotherhood of Satan. What? The older generation of Satanists wanted the souls of the younger children to live longer and be immortal, right? Brotherhood all the way. They raised me. I know it's a fact. From a baby. They raised me from a baby. But we didn't take the name Brotherhood of Satan from the fucking movie. That's fucking so ridiculous. We had members of the Brotherhood of Darkness in those movies, sworn to secrecy, but they're in those movies. Oh, yeah. And that's all Jews ever really said. Oh, no. Some of the people in those movies are us. Some are on television today. I don't want to, go out and say people's names when I'm sworn not to, right? I'm an out front Brotherhood of Darkness person. There's still things I have to do, and that's respect some people's anonymity and those kind of things, brother. Just because I'm out public. Believe me, I had to get talked into it. That's another thing about you. They don't A lot of people look at Drew and they think, oh, man, he's all about himself. He's on an ego trip. Fuck, I had to get talked to going into social networks, bro. But Drew's good. And Drew knows how to work a social network better than most. Better than most. And we've been successful with it. But guess who talked me into doing it? Jinx Dawson. And another brotherhood member besides her. Drew wouldn't have did it. Drew wasn't looking for the fucking limelight, brother. But then I was told, look, when Sedana got the first E group out there and we came out as Brotherhood of Darkness, they appointed me to be watching her back. I was the master counselor and we came out, brother. This is what most people don't know about Brotherhood of Satan. We came out as Brotherhood of Darkness first, who we really were. You're the elders of BOS, who we really were. I know. I was in that Yahoo group. The Brotherhood of Darkness Yahoo group, we even had a website. As who we really are. Brotherhood of Darkness. A whole bunch of adolescent Satanists in that group fucking got mouthy, disrespecting everybody, and disrespected the elders there, bro. I saw it for myself. Sedana goes to another meeting after that, but she did it for 2 years. I'll give her respect for that. And said, I'm not doing this. They're fucking babies. And if Raven and I weren't there, there wouldn't be a new generation. They said, what about you, Drew? What about you, Raven? And I thought about it. I looked at him. Because I was a foster child myself, I wanted to see a new generation. You know? No, brother? And be able to teach some of the things that I learned. And things that aren't out in books everywhere. Masses that aren't seen out there generally. You know, and it's not copycatted from somebody else's work or it's plagiarized, bro. It's important to me to present brotherhood. What I learned from inside the brotherhood, bro. I even had to go up against some of my own people about that. Told me, you're complicating things when you start bringing material from other orgs or other people into our school of instruction or anything like that, because it should be, our elders say it should be brotherhood all the way. Our members' articles and Drew's. Otherwise, it's plagiarism. Drew does things on the level. I'm a good Mason, too. But I do things on the level, brother. I don't want to use other people's material for our organization, even if we accredit it to them. I will only if they're credible teachers themselves. Then I'll share some. You see me do that in the group. But in our school of instruction, what should be brotherhood, school of instruction, bro. No, that should be BOD rituals and BOD stuff and BOS. That's it. So I've had to take charge of that. I felt like they were complicating it a little bit. And this, ever so often, people got to understand, real leaders like Drew, bro, once in a while, we have to make a leadership call. That doesn't mean we're on ego trips. It doesn't mean we're trying to put our foot down on people or anything. Drew has more experience than me. Drew knows what works and what won't work. I've had him, try to dictate to the left-hand path and everything else, bro. And I keep talking. You can't do that with us. You can't do that with Satanists. You can't dictate to the left-hand path. You let people voluntarily help do what they want to do when they can. And you have to have empathy with your membership, right? Everybody has a job, Aleister. They have families. They got children to feed. Drew's not cracking the whip on people and putting pressure on anybody. I'm a very wise master counselor. And a lot of it I can do myself. I just don't know. Guess who was doing it all himself before I designated the leadership? I was. Raven. Yep. A lot of them came to us, brother. Some of them didn't even know what an elemental was. They didn't have a cloak. They didn't even know what a Baphomet necklace was and stuff. And now, today, they're writing their own rituals, and they're doing rituals that I'm so damn proud of. And they're their rituals, not Drew's. A lot of what Brotherhood of Satan does, and you'll see with us, is mine. It's stuff I have written for BOD and for the BOF. But no, our members do too. They excel. And that's what I want, brother. And you want the ones that, are going to stay the duration. Because that's how you come into being, right? You can't just be a quitter. You can't, I'm a Satanist today, and a year later, they're not, right? Or look at how many that you and I probably came up with, brother. Probably afraid of Crow, too. And I'm around right now today going, where are they? What happened to them? And we do know Mike Aquino and Levesque, others have passed away. But where'd the rest of them go? What, fly-by-night Satanists? Drew's never going to be one of those. Bro, I'm in by blood and out by blood. That's a fact about Drew. And I don't tell people. I'm going to tell you something. Here's another little thing. God damn, I get inboxed all the time. Aleister, listen to this. Drew, I want to be just like you. Brother, I tell them, no, you don't want to be me. No, you fucking don't. You don't know how much I've sacrificed. How much loss that I've had besides joy. Very hard stuff to deal with and go through. And you have no idea the kind of rituals I've been involved in. No, you don't want to be me. You do not want to be a pledged harvest lord who knows he's dying at the end of his time. His term is up. It's like Ozzy found out, right? Brother, I knew Ozzy. I said a few days before Ozzy passed away, I said it. You know why I knew? The same things we're talking about knowing thyself, and you connect into those energies, brother, that current. You know how I knew it? Somebody said after Ozzy got on stage that last time, well, he used to be the Prince of Darkness. Now he's the King. And I looked at Raven, and I said, Raven, I already know, because I handled his contract for before it went to somebody else. I knew what time Ozzy had. I said, honey, what happens to the King? Again, Drew's telling people, no, you don't want to be me. Oh, no. Drew's going to die with his eyes wide open. And I've said lots of serious things to people, Aleister, and people don't know if I'm serious or not. And I want them to wonder. I want them to have that mystery about Drew. I've said this before. Who's going to be the high priestess that has the balls enough to take that hand size and cut my throat? Now, you just heard me say those words, Aleister. Do you think any of them fucking kids want to be me? No. Oh, no, you don't want to be Drew. You have no idea who a real brother and master counselor is. And all I'm doing is found and passing ancestors, bro.
So what's next for the Brotherhood? What's coming up?
Oh boy, so much has happened. Bro. Like I said, we have the second book coming out that's going to probably bring in a lot of membership. Our festivals, we're back to doing 2 of them a year. Oh, we've got a lot of leading people going to come to our next fest these next years, which is really good. Venus, Satanis, and others want to come. I want to see that we're organizing the Southeast first, brother. There's a method to Drew's madness. People might think Drew, there's no organization to Drew. You got it. Fucking be joking. You got no idea the extent of the extent of the trust Brotherhood of Darkness has in Drew as an organizer. Okay, so we're going to have the whole Southeast organized by the end of this new year, this next year, the whole Southeast pretty much, and having everybody hopefully come together to a big festival where everybody can make money with their books and stuff, brother, vending, and all that stuff. I don't think I even want to charge the left-hand path community vending fees. I want to see that festival be huge, brother. And I think we're right around the corner from me getting the right contributors that we're going to have that new Brotherhood Center that we want. Then we're going to do 4 Sabbaths a year, brother. Now, I have friends that are already doing this kind of stuff. They're not doing it in the satanic movement, though. You know what they bring in? And this is what I mean about the whole, if we could all come together and work together, there could be money all of us could be making. They do 4 festivals a year. They made over $500,000, brother, just using their land for 4 weekends. That doesn't include members that are going to want to join because they come to one of our fests, they want to join. They do that now. We're not even that big yet. We're going to be big. Look at that banner that's on my profile. That's Drew's visualization. My daughter's got Drew's post. One of my daughters, Claudia, got my post. She knows what Drew wants to turn around and see. And I had people, the first time we did a Brotherhood of Satan offline event, tell me, man, Drew, when you were talking, I saw a whole bunch of black cloaked people behind you, hundreds and hundreds behind you. And I'm thinking, well, maybe you're seeing a glimpse of Brotherhood of Darkness. But really what they were seeing was what Brotherhood of Satan is going to be. The new generation is going to be, brother. And what we want to do is not ask anybody that's running your own orgs and stuff and writing your own books and stuff to quit what you're doing at all. We want to bring everybody together, though. Let's have a fucking dark arts festival that can blow people away. We can make the Satanic Temple look like Diddley. That's no joke. The Brotherhood could do it. Drew knows how to set schedules up. Drew knows how to get the best classes you could possibly fucking have. And rituals up the ass. Right now we do, and we're not even as big as what we're going to be. And we're doing shit, 15, 20 rituals on a fucking festival, bro. Large ritual, where everybody gets to participate, too. We give people positions and everything. It's not just me and Grave doing everything. Fucking great. So look at the vending possibility there with having a big dark arts festival. Because I would offer that to the left-hand path community. I don't want to charge anybody, bro. I'd like to see a haunted house on site too, our own, and a black chapel, but our own haunted house that we can actually, there's another way to bring funds in. Drew's good at knowing what to do to bring funds in, bro. All we need is that land project. Okay, and I've been talking a lot to BOD about this on behalf of BOS. Okay, so we can provide this within these next 2 years sometime. Brother, then when I'm on my videos telling people, look, we can bring organization into Satanism in the left-hand path where we all can benefit. Drew wants to see that manifested. I don't want to be talking about it. Now I have some power. I have a power that I can project it, bro, and manifest it. And you take all of us, the credible people, left-hand path, the ones that have risen to the top still, no, not the ones that have disappeared, come and go, the ones that don't know whether they want to be a Satanist witch or a regular witch. I hear that too. What I want to tell people is just stay the path, stay the course. If you're a Satanist and you want to move into satanic witchcraft, be a satanic witch. Before Wicca, it's the only real authentic witchcraft. That's why it's called ancient witchcraft by us. There's that word ancient. It means continuity. But bro, going in the future, we got so much going on, and we're gonna stay doing till we have the land project where we can do 4. We're gonna stay doing 2 events, you know, which again we're talking about the power times, right? Well, Brigis and Solid is when we do them right now. See, Drew's on it. Drew's on that current brother that we need to be on. Oh yeah, and people can benefit. Like if Venus comes and sets up themselves at Springfest, I don't see why we should charge anybody. If people are registering for the fest, Drew's happy with that. It goes right back into the Brotherhood and the younger generation. I'm not keeping that money. And I'm not going to charge this tank. If you guys want to bring books for sale and all that, let's help each other. Let's do what. And this is what Satan's saying. You can't say, well, it's a satanic community, but then say there's no unity. Unity is in the middle of the word community, by the way. So, what's a unit in the military? A cohesive unit that works together, gets shit done. Now, here's what I am saying. Okay, this is a time, and it may be the Brotherhood is the vehicle, brother. I don't know, but this is the time we need to come together. Let me tell you what's going on. They're educating these Jesus camps about us right now. They've been doing it for about, my information tells me about 5-10 years now. Oh yeah, and guess what they're telling them? About dangers of the occult. Recently, that Charlie Kirk got shot in Utah. They're making it into a spiritual battle, brother. Christians and us. When Drew warns people, Drew, listen to fucking Drew. Drew has the intuitive forewarnings of things. And I'm telling us what's coming. Nothing wrong being a sovereign individual Satanist, brother. And we all retain our sovereignty first, even in the Brotherhood of Satan organization. We're all sovereign, right? We're stars in a circle. That's true. But we need to come together in numbers when it counts. So we better develop a rapport, a friendship, a brotherhood between Satanists, the theistic satanic. And bro, I won't even bash COS anymore. I don't agree with them, a lot of what they do, what they say. No. But I know Dr. LeVay meant well. And he wasn't a cultist before he was a Satanist. He was a Thelemite, very definitely. And they had meetings and they had, lectures and they were teaching classes at the Black House before it was the Church of Satan. So at least he came from the occult. No, he didn't come from a hereditary generational families like Drew's bloodline is. No, but that doesn't make him any less than me because I'm a bloodline Satanist and he wasn't. I don't know. And he had Romanian ancestry and stuff, and Gypsy, from what I understand. I know a lot about him. But Dr. LeVay, yeah, I mean, no, there's no reason to bash the COS. If they want to bash other people, just let them fucking do it. Who gives a shit? There's another thing about being on the current, bro. Going back to know thyself, right? Or the Brotherhood itself. We don't really worry about what people say about us. What they say about us, whether it's good or bad, I'm not reacting. How does that upset Drew's vibration in any way, shape, or form? Doesn't even create a ripple in my vibration. Because enough people that already met Drew, people have met me offline, they've seen things at our festivals, brother. They can't, anybody's ever met me will tell you he's not fake. There's no way he could be fake. Probably scared the hell out of some of them, too. But I mean, high energy, brother. And when I represent death at the harvest season, especially when I'm wearing that death mask and I'm showing that fucking skull, real human skull, and I'm telling you, know your mortality, Brotherhood. What you do in this life, make it count. Make it bring a harvest to last. And that brings me to what we're saying again about the current, right? What does the current do? It's going to lead you to finding. Absolutely. Got to be on the current. Because knowing your mortality is key. So, what would make you immortal? What you do in this life, here and now. Why is Aleister Crowley immortal? Why are people still talking about Crowley today? Not just because he wrote those books. He was a very powerful personality in the occult, right? And he was a top magician in his time. And he was younger, especially, before he later got addicted. He was a very powerful magician. So that's why Crowley's immortal today. And people don't know what the word immortal means. They think automatically, oh, it connects with vampirism. No, there's more than one way to be immortal, everybody. Who knows the ways? What you do in your life is the same. It's going to make you immortal or not. In the OTO, they're still talking about Jack Parsons blowing himself up. Why? He was immortal. He was still an OTO initiate. You know he blew himself up, right? But okay. But what makes you immortal? You do. And the Brotherhood reenacts a lot of rituals, brother, that are very symbolic that way, too. The Brotherhood coffin ritual, where we raise you to a new Brotherhood life after you're in the underworld, communing with the 13 Brotherhood ancestors. When you're in that coffin, and we're hitting that gong 13 times, and I'm got this gavel, and they don't know if they're getting nailed in, brother. But we have them in that coffin for a reason, right? To commune with the dark ancestors. That's always done following Time in the Veils of Thinness when one Drew does that ritual. And it is from Brotherhood of Darkness. It's also a ritual I wrote from Skull and Bones when they wanted to revise their initiation. Guess who wrote it for them? Drew did. A lot about Drew people don't know, bro. But it's not lies. Might be spooky, but it's not lies. A lot of skeletons in Drew's closet. Walls, coffins, everywhere you can think. That's how our families were like, right? You know, Jinx's dad was a Mason. Now, that's another thing. So in the good things we're doing and changing and the improvements we got going, bro, our whole school of instruction is going to be new. Got its own board. I'm working on another board for BOD, BOS. That's taking a little bit longer because I had to retrieve a lot of my stuff that's all over the place now. Microsoft decided to delete all my stuff. Really nice of them. I'm not sure where they might have put it if they did keep it in my computer somewhere. I can't find it, right? So good thing I have it all over, right? And I have physical copies all over my office too. But so that process is taking me a little longer. But what my goal is there for everybody is to have that board up, brother, where anybody that's Brotherhood High Clergy can go in there. You guys can copy Drew's masses, Brotherhood of Darkness rituals. It'll teach you what a master counselor does offline. What did Drew do as a master counselor before there was internet? Oh, there's a good question. How did Drew bring members in? Drew was in the right place, right time. And Drew knows where. How? Underworld of darkness means underworld of darkness. That means there's portals into the underworld, right, brother? They could be clubs. They could be raves. They could be festivals like ours is going to be. There can be rock concerts where Drew went as a master counselor, represented the Brotherhood, many, many of those, where I blessed the band before they even got on stage and got to be right in front of them. And what was I identifying myself as? Brotherhood of Darkness was on the back of my shirt, and I'd be right in front of the band. So anybody in that concert looking at the band stage with those little mini binoculars and stuff, they saw our brotherhood there represented. Right. And see, now we have internet. So those church connections change now to actually having, I would give out cards. But those churches change now because we have internet. They can say brotherhoodofsatan.earth now. Bro, I'm bringing up master counselors right now. They're moving up. By the end of this year, I might have 7 master counselors besides Drew for the new generation. Tell me Drew's doing the wrong stuff. No. And they aren't doing the wrong stuff either, or I wouldn't believe them. It takes a lot for Drew to believe in somebody. I'm a real Satanist. I'm more prove it. I prove myself every day. There isn't a thing in the occult world or anything I've done in Satanism or left-hand path that I've ever lied about, bro. Not one thing. Not one thing. And I don't believe in fabrication, sensationalizing things, or any of that kind of stuff, right? So going in the future, bro, BLS has got a bright future, brother. I see us uniting a lot of people. Like I said, we're going to have 13 major monasteries in the country already established by the end of 27. I'm doing my job, but you got to bring people up, and people got to understand that takes some time too. That's why I have to slow some people down sometimes. I'm going, no, wait a minute, Drew knows better. I understand your zeal, and boy, I'm proud to see that because that's great to see. It's refreshing for me to see people who actually want to do something, brother. Right? But I had to slow them down sometimes because I try to tell them, sometimes you get hasty, you're going to make mistakes. When we go back, have to correct stuff, we're wasting our time, wasting time. So the things, the improvements we're going into as an organization now, you know, that's all things that we knew we wanted to revamp. Drew wrote the original book, our original School of Instruction. Drew wrote it back in 2000. Drew's got a lot more material now to share. So I feel like the School of Instruction should be redone, right? And I thought the girls were complicating that School of Instruction. I even told another master counselor, Zach, on the phone 2 days ago. I said, man, Zach, I think the girls are complicated, bro. And BLD's telling me we got to have it. Brotherhood. You know, we can't have a lot of everybody else's stuff. And there's not as much as Drew's in there or other Brotherhood members. I said, so they're overcomplicated. And then he told me, well, no, Dad, don't worry about it. They're going to listen to you. And I'm going, okay, well, that moves. Bro, I kind of had to take charge of it. You want to see people move up, but you know, when you were younger, you did things like you made some mistakes in your time. Drew did, right? And sometimes I'd get ahead of myself, bro. And I learned from the School of Hard Knocks then. Well, maybe I'm trying to avoid some of those hard knocks for the new generation, you know, for the ones coming up that I have the experience with already. So I had to slow them down somewhat. Tell them, look, no pressure. Brothers ain't not about pressuring, but we're about an organization. Absolutely. Probably the most organized satanic organization. Us. That's a fact. But no, we're not about pressuring people, dictating to them. I don't know. And we want leaders. You think Drew's got a lot of knowledge? You think Drew's intimidated with other leaders, bro? Or by someone else moving up? No. That's why we got 4 more arch highs right now. And me and Raven wanted to be the only arch highs we could have been. We didn't do that to people. You know why? Because we believe in what we teach. And if we tell people we want all of you self-empowered and we want leaders, not followers. That this project's really about leadership. You're going to have some general member, yes. The leaders are what we're after. But you got to let them be a leader. You got to let them lead. Again, whether some of satanic leadership really don't know how to lead properly, brother, or whatever it is, or they don't have the experience. You know, it's not that they don't mean well. Some of them really mean well. But they want to dictate to the members and stuff. That never works. I've been around about that twice in our own organization. You know, and I tell them, no, don't do that. Your elders aren't even doing that. Don't do that. You end up with people dissing you, you know, and that principle of brotherhood has to be there. It's to cement that's our foundation for the brotherhood. You have to respect each other. Number one law, one of my, not my number one law, but it's one of the 13 laws of Brotherhood of Saint. It's one of the most number one laws in my mind, though. It's how you treat each other. That's life, even, bro. These are life lessons that brothers actually teaching people to. How to interact with your brothers and sisters. And why does it always have to be in a situation, bro, that one person wins and another person has to, at the expense of somebody loses, right? One person wins and the other one loses. Who's saying to you all, why can't we all win? Why? Because you don't want the other one to win? Fucking baby of shit. If that's your problem, then you're just on an ego trip anyway. Nothing wrong with self-empowering people. That's what the brotherhood's about. And you gotta let people lead. But again, bro, you gotta be smart and ascertain who the real leaders are. Because you're gonna watch them all be grown individually. Drew does this all the time. I'm watching them all grow individually, brother. And they're gonna make mistakes along the way. And here I am trying to coach them. No, that's not the etiquette. There is ethics in Satanism too. That's not the etiquette. A leader does. No matter if somebody's out there bashing Drew left and right, do you see Drew ever running into them and start getting in a confrontation with them and telling them off like I actually could, or kicking their ass like I probably could do? They weren't hiding behind a computer screen. Please come to one of my festivals. Meet Drew yourself, or since you want to talk about it. When you walk away from our festival, you're going to be going, God damn, Drew is a legend. I see why people are calling him a legend now. But Drew deserved that title, my brother, and I'm going to say why. 69 years as a Satanist, an active Satanist. Even when I was that young, I was still active. Brother, look at these dates, bro, for yourself. I like to know what I'm talking about and having real dates about stuff, right? My satanic baptism, 3 years old, 1958. Ordained a high priest, 13 years old. 1968, I was only in 8th grade. Made master counselor in 1976. I think Drew's earned a few entitlements, right? But other than that, you know, it just means I'm wise. I have some experience. I don't look at it I'm better than somebody else, brother, because I'm not. We're all individuals. So we're all equal then. And you have to look at it like now, there's different degrees of knowledge, but we're all equal. That makes any sense. And once you get people to realize it, the knowledge is there for everybody though. It's not, you know, the elders only hold the knowledge. They're sharing the knowledge. Be different if Drew and Raven weren't sharing a lot of stuff. Well, boy, bro, I've just begun sharing with the new generation. I've been at it about 25 years already. New generation alone. Yep. And I've just begun. I have hundreds of rituals I haven't even shared with them yet. From BOD to BOF. I've already shared Bride of Satan, Feast of the Beast 2 times with the new generation. Really fucking cool fucking ritual, bro. Not done exactly like we do with BOD. We actually have the beast and the big feast, and that's actually part of the ritual, too. But we had dinner first, and then we did the ritual. New generation. And I've done it twice now. And I've adapted both times. Because I was a master counselor and got to be when he was officiator for that for BOD. For that ritual too. So I was able to put it together. and perform it for Brotherhood of Satan. And everybody had parts. It's so fucking cool. Really cool. So Drew, if Drew said stuff about BOD and along the way, when you have an organization that's generational, bro, I knew I was up against a tough job. Coming into Satanism publicly, with the internet and stuff like that, and I'm presenting generational Satanism, something nobody knew much about. I knew I'd have doubters, but I knew if they'd stay the duration with Drew and see Drew stay in the duration and watch enough of Drew's stuff, they're going to find out we're legit, we're true, and that everything's on the up and up with Drew. And that Brotherhood of Darkness does exist, actually. They do. So we're getting ready to bring two of our own people from Brotherhood of Darkness to our next spot. So who's playing who? People think somebody's fucking playing a game with them or lying to people about generational Satanism. But bro, we were up against, all the rest of everybody out there because we're bringing generational Satanism out. Something that was taught to me in my own family. Same with Jinx. Spooky shit, but very powerful rituals. And look at what Jinx is doing these days. Holy shit. Doing rituals all over on stage.
Well, Drew, I appreciate you spending time with us tonight. Thank you very much for spending some time. And for those of you at home, thank you for joining us tonight. This has been Aleister Nacht, Ave Satanas.